Hello, welcome back to Dreamy Thatch Grove. I am so happy you found your way back here. I am Bryn, and it is lovely as always to have you. Today, we're doing a tarot reading for tapping into confidence. We're going to be using a spread of mine that I think I usually have it written down. I usually refer to it as a self-image realignment spread. Literally rude. There we go. What? Okay. Whatever works. A delayed reaction is perfectly fine. There's a metaphor for confidence in there. If we felt like being silly little geese about it. It went out just before I could light that one. So much smoke today, my goodness. The match broke off in the little candle. Some teachers honked as they drove by. That's fine. One last match. I might light it in the other candle so it doesn't false start as they do sometimes. Here we go. Beautiful. We've got our candles lit. Here we go. Looks so empty over here now. I'm gonna move this. Just looks so empty there. Okay. How is there always little debris catching here? Were you stuck on the bottom of the candle and I didn't see you? Come on. Today, we are doing, as I said, a sort of self-image tarot spread. Checking in with the way we view ourselves and why, and just really meditating on that through the cards. I'm probably titling this as being about confidence because that's the thing that's on my mind right now. And I think that's a good way to probably word what I'm trying to glean from this. But it really is more about just self-image in general. I have my little notebook here with some of my personal spreads. Yeah, self-perception, that's the word I use, not self-image. Self-perception realignment. This is actually an old layout of the spread. I've changed it slightly. draw a sixth card from a different deck. I don't know why I do that. But all of the spreads that I share with you were originally just my personal spreads for me. And sometimes it's not always logic based when it's just for yourself. So, for some reason I decided that the sixth card is drawn from a different deck. I started doing it where I'll do the main reading in a classic 78 card tarot deck and then use an oracle deck for the sixth card. I'm going to split you into two groups today, but the reading will be the same, so I'll explain that for all of you now. The main 5 cards are as follows. The first card is the misconception card, meaning your own misconception about yourself in this moment. The second card is the learned card, and what I mean by that is what about your self-image was taught to you? What is something you were taught to believe about how to view and conceptualize yourself? Card number 3 I call the caterpillar card, though I'm not sure why. That's probably not the best description of it. I'm blocking the light. Heavens. What card number 3 is basically just what to shed. What to shed and slough away. What needs to be exfoliated off of you. Card number 4 is the higher self card, or rather the highest self card. Meaning that like the most aware, all-encompassing version of who you are. And this card is meant to represent what does your highest self know that you in your smaller self do not. It's impossible to always be perfectly cognizant of everything you are thinking and feeling all at once. So you can imagine your higher self as being like more able to see everything all at once, watching more detached and more regulated. And then your smaller self is more like who you are in the moment, operating off of fractions of your life and your consciousness. So what does your highest self know that your smallest self right now does not? Card number 5, I call the radiant card. This is the energy that you need to tap into in order to radiate that sense of confidence, that sense of self-assuredness. So the radiant card is what energy you need to tap into. There's a lot of overlap between the 5th and 6th card. The 6th card, as I said, will be taken from another deck. We just pull one single card. I just call it the guidance card. And it's generically kind of an advice card, but it is specifically meant to answer a more specific question. And it's one of my favorite questions to include in any kind of introspective reading. And that is just, what have I not thought about enough? So that 6th card is just, what have I not thought about enough pertaining to the reading's theme, in this case, self-perception and confidence. that's going to be the reading. Let me get this. I am going to do most of the reading with, the first 5 cards with this deck. It is the Midnight Magic deck by Sarah Richard, and it is mushroom themed. This is generally one of my favorite decks. It's sort of my go-to. It's a classic 78 card deck. So we're going to be using this one for the majority of the reading for both groups. Set you aside. And then how the 2 groups that I'm going to do readings for differ will be in which oracle deck we use to pull the 6th card, the guidance card. I'm going to move you over a little, sir. You're not going to fall, are you? No, you're good. We're safe here, don't worry. We are going to be using these 2 decks here. Group number 1, you are going to be the Letha Oracle deck. And group number 2 will be the Imbolc Oracle deck. This one is very like spring and summer. It's very tapped into nature, and it's more bright. Whereas this one's more dark. It's midwinter. The way that the reason I chose these 2 for this is, to me, like, for the sake of this specific reading's theme, I'm going to describe it as being like, this is very projecting outward, whereas this is very reflecting inward. And I think those are 2 good, distinct energies to bear in mind when thinking about your sense of self in terms of confidence, in terms of assuredness. Are you feeling more drawn to exploring, projecting outwards to others, or more to reflecting inward right now? There's no right or wrong choice. It's just whatever is speaking to you in this moment. The way for now, and we will begin with group number 1, the outward deck, or rather the outward group. Just settling into your body in the moment. Second now to think about that sense of the higher self, the version of you that is aware of everything crossing your mind at once, whereas most of the time you can't actually be aware of all of it at once. shuffling quietly on camera. So I did shuffle this thoroughly before starting to film. It's harder with the nails too. Alright. Group number 1. Let me set you right here. Make sure I don't forget. Yes, misconception. The first card is the misconception card. Your misconception about yourself in this moment right now, as you are now. The Magician. That was a loud car going by. We live right by a road here, so you are right next to a road with me, so on my channel you are always going to hear cars driving by, and I have given up on editing them out. I hope they are not too bothersome. I personally like the sound. The Magician. I always like to pay attention to when the card number matches up to its position number. So we got the 5, and the first one matches up with here. It is the number 1. So I think I'm going to pull all of your cards before I try to read into any one position too much. But just very generally, the Magician I think of as being a card of like manifestation, in a sense, like creation, like it's very, very creation, very making things happen for yourself. It is not immediately clear to me what to make of the Magician as being a misconception for yourself yet. I have a few ideas of what it could be, but I'm going to pull the other cards before I try to interpret it on its own. The second card here is the Learned card. What about your self-image was actually taught to you? What was taught to you to think about? The 7 of Cups. It's a card of decisions, of choices. When I've done this reading for myself, I found that it's usually so clear right away. These are 2 cards in their positions that I'm not sure what to make of it yet. What is up with you, Group 1? I'm trying to figure you out. We will get there. I think this one will help. This is what to shed. What do you need to shed? Oh, was that upside down or did I pull it upside down? No, that was upside down, okay. This is the 4 of Cups, upside down. The 4 of Cups, is that sort of domesticity? I might be getting confused. Is anyone else's memory completely shot since they got COVID a few years ago? Sometimes I forget which cards are which, so I have like a little quick guide for myself of my own interpretations. No, I was confusing this with something else. Sometimes I confuse the cups and the wands. I'm not sure what that's about. The 4 of Cups is discontent, or being unappreciative of the things that you have. In my little notes, sometimes I have like a direct action or piece of advice that like what you're being told to do for it, and this one just says meditate. So the 4 of Cups is discontent. hand and it's upside down. Sometimes I don't super read the upside down meanings, but I usually interpret it as like just being more related to kind of the shadow self in a way. I might look at the official booklet for this deck, for this reading, to help me come up with a better understanding. For now, let me pull the remaining 2 cards. Card number 4 is the highest self. What does your highest self know that your smaller self does not? You have the 9 of Swords. If I'm not mistaken, this is a card of kind of burnout. There's a few that are very closely related to burnout or fatigue, and sometimes I get them confused. I have the anxiety spiral. The anxiety spiral or depression. This one I might pull a clarifying card on. I wasn't planning on it. We'll see. Let me finish it. Let me pull the 5th one. The 5th card. This one's usually a little more straightforward. The Radiant card. What energy do you need to tap into in order to radiate the sense of confidence? What energy do you need to ground into? The 9 of Cups. You are surrounded by 2 9s here. I'll double check because I keep being long today. You know I was right. Okay, good. The 9 of Cups, I believe, is classically thought of as being the wish fulfillment card. I changed the wording of that just a little bit in the way I conceptualize it. I think of this as the dreams granted card. Maybe that distinction makes no difference to you, but it does to me. I'm going to read from the booklet for each of these, I think. That we might get a better understanding together. And I don't have written down any of what I interpret as, no, that's not true. In my little quick guide, I sometimes in parentheses put what I consider to be more like the shadow meaning of cards, which is how I usually interpret them being upside down. Sometimes I will also consider that, depending on if it's a more negative position of the reading they're in. So I deal with upside down cards a little different, but I also try to avoid letting any of them get upside down, so I don't know how this one was. So we will definitely read the reversed meaning of this one as well. Let's start with the Magician, remembering that this is supposed to be your misconception about yourself. One thing I will note is I did say that this is the card number 1 and in the first position. Notably, if you're unfamiliar with tarot, it starts with the 0 card, it starts with the Fool. So even though it's number 1, it's not the first card in the deck. Maybe there's something to that. In terms of being a misconception as like feeling like you're at the beginning or feeling like you are the Fool, but you're technically not. Maybe there's something to that. We'll come back to that. The Magician, here represented by the mushroom, little birds of the woods. Little birds of the woods are used in divinatory ceremonies by indigenous tribes in Mexico. In the native Aztec language, Nahuatl, they are known as the divine mushroom that describes or paints. These little psychoactive mushrooms grow in subtropical coffee plantations in the clay-heavy soil and bruise blue almost like magic when injured or cut. This color change echoes the magician's call for transformation and action. It represents manifestation, inspiration, and action. These small mushrooms grow among coffee crops, and coffee can help provide the jolt you need to get that project off the ground. Begin some preliminary planning to create something you feel is needed in the world. You can always adjust these plans later. For now, just take the first steps. First keywords are misinformation, false visions, poor planning, and creative blocks. In a sense, this is a slightly more negative position in this reading that might be somewhat relevant. In reading that description of this, I feel like maybe I see this as maybe you're someone who has like bigger ambitions, things that you want, especially creative things that you want to make, that you have not started making yet. And I think maybe the misconception to be found here could very well be in believing that you are incapable of starting, that you don't have any opportunities, that you don't, maybe that you don't have what it takes. And so maybe there's a misconception in how you view your own potential. I'm going to read through first. Having trouble laying the foundation for a new project. You may feel like your mind and body are stuck in heavy, muddy soil. Have no fear. These little mushrooms thrive in a constrictive and soggy environment. Do some more research, meditate, read, or go for a walk. Ideas will germinate like spores in fertile ground. So yeah, that reverse description is exactly what I was talking about. I think that you have a misconception about your ability to begin and to act on your plans and your goals and your dreams, which I think will later tie into the dreams granted card here in the radiant position. I think you are an ambitious person, maybe not in the traditional sense of like raising up in a traditional career ladder. I see something more creative for you, I think. Maybe not all of you, I think some of you at least. I see distinct creativity here that you have. I wonder if maybe the things you want to make require certain skills, and you are aware that you either don't have them or you don't have them trained well enough to be able to act on and currently to be able to fulfill the things you want to make. And it's hard, it's easy to get stuck in that loop of like, skills not good enough, not making the thing, not making anything, skills don't improve, skills not good enough, you know what I mean? It's it's like how people don't want to go to the gym until they're already really good at going to the gym because it's embarrassing to be a beginner. I mentioned before about how also it is the number one card, but it's not the first. I think maybe think of yourself as the fool. And the fool in tarot is like, it's not like fool. It's not necessarily foolishness in the way we say it now. It's more just beginner. I think you are earlier in your journey than you are. I think the things you want to make are closer to you than you are giving yourself credit for. And I think you clicked on a video about confidence for a reason. I think you know that that's an issue. Read this again. Both of the descriptions, upright and reversed, are very encouraging. They're saying go for it. They're saying have no fear. I think this card in this position right now is just telling you you are wrong about your ability to make things. Stop being so protective of the concept in your head for any individual project that you never let any version of it come to fruition. I think that's that. Let's look at the Seven of Cups for you. Here we go, I went right to it pretty easily. The Seven of Cups. In the learned position, what about your self-image was taught to you? The Seven of Cups here is represented by the mushroom, the black trumpet. Black trumpets are chalice-shaped and are desired underbrush snacks, but they are also masterful mycological chameleons, making them a good representation for the Seven of Cups, which represents choices and confusion, represents opportunities, illusions, and wishful thinking. You are inundated with many promising choices. Recognize what may be illusion and what is truly attainable. Carefully study shadows for hidden treasures, sheltered within the shade. The reversed is, I think I'm going to read the reversed for the cards in the three positions here horizontally because there's slightly more negative. Reversed, it means confusion, overwhelmed by choices, and deception. Confusion from a cornucopia of illusions or daydreams is overtaking your mind with mental smog. Take some time to determine which options are best for the long term. Now that is being in the position of what was taught to you. I feel like I'm seeing a lot of, I think I'm seeing some crab bucketing maybe. By that I mean crab bucketing is like, it's that thing, I don't know if there was a bunch of crabs in a bucket and one of them starts to climb out, the other ones will drag it back down. People do that a lot, where they say that, if somebody in their community or their family or their friend group starts to do things like differently and becomes more successful in some way, they'll be like, wow, what are you doing? You know what I mean? They take it personally and then they try to bring it back down a little bit, even though it's somebody from your own community who should want what's best for you and in theory feels like they do. But I'm seeing being held back by supposed advice from people who really think they want what's best for you, but are just sort of wrong. People are like, that's not a viable career, or, that kind of thing. Like, if you, especially because I was seeing, like, wanting to do something creative, if there's, like, somebody, maybe in your family, who would much rather you, like, go to med school or get an office job? I think also for some of you, it's instead more of that crab bucketing from friends, or maybe when you've started a new creative endeavor, or maybe started to learn a skill, they were like, man, what are you doing? If you wanted to be an actor, and you were like, I think I'm going to sign up for an improv class, and they were like, a fucking improv class, what are you doing? Something, that's just one example, but, and it's coming from a good place. Usually they're like, they feel strongly that they are trying to keep you from being unrealistic. Get unrealistic. This is your one life, baby. Do what you want. A lot of what people like to think of as being realism, and people who are pessimistic always say, I'm not a pessimist, I'm a realist. They're a pessimist. And it's getting tied up in their, like, deeply held belief that they're objectively correct to be so. Because if they started to actually believe in themselves, it would be really heartbreaking for them to have to contend with how much of their potential they kneecapped. And so I think you've believed a lot of that, and maybe you're struggling to contend with the idea that, like, well, but wait, if it is achievable and I just haven't been working towards it, that's really sad. To think that I've been wasting my time, if it is even a possibility for me. It makes sense to try to work within the frameworks that how do I put this? It makes sense to try to work within the frameworks that have been proven by the people immediately around you who've come before you. There is an assumed safety in that. I might advise that it is also possible to fail at your plan B. And if I should finish the reading first, but there's something sad about this card to me, so I just want to, like, my impulse is to give you a pep talk right away. But you can fail your plan B. And if you can find any way to allow yourself to work on the things that you want while finding any kind of stability, I do think it's usually more possible than you've maybe been giving yourself credit for. So for now, let's move on here. The Four of Cups. And this is in the position of what to shed. This one does feel right away a little bit more clear, because this is like it's already kind of more negative card on its own. It is representative of that discontent. The artwork for this in a traditional Rider-Waite deck is a man with, like, 3 cups behind him, or is it 3 or 4? I don't remember. He has several full cups behind him that he's turning his back on to look and stare at the one cup that tipped over. So it's that unappreciativeness. It's like, yeah, that does suck, buddy. Why aren't you staring at your other more cups that are still full, though? That's the Four of Cups. There it is. The Four of Cups. Here represented by the white basket fungus mushroom. Bursting forth from a protective egg sac, this fungus twists into an odorous, cage-shaped form. The Maori folklore associates them with Waitiri. I don't know how to pronounce this, I apologize. The thunder goddess, as they often appear after thunderstorms. Think of this card's message less like the bars of confinement and more like the load-bearing support beams in a cozy, safe place. Upright. This sounds different than I thought. Am I confusing the art on this card? Did I describe the art of a completely different card? I didn't think I did. I might have been wrong. I might be confusing the Four of Cups with a different one. I do apologize. Anyway, upright, this means meditation, set limits, and boredom. Spiritual contemplation and emotional limits have been set. Don't be afraid to say no if your cup is already too full. This card may also indicate boredom or stasis. And reversed, it means stubbornness, introspection, and withdrawal. Though it seems like stubbornness to others, purposeful withdrawal allows you to recognize what grounds you through introspective assessment. Meditate on your values to rediscover what makes you happy. Let me look something up. I'm literally Googling the Four of Cups art. I need to find my Rider-Waite deck. Although it's not my fave anyway. Okay, I did have the art wrong. I had the art slightly wrong, it looks like. He's doing all this. Basically, it's similar to what I described, but he's like looking at three of his cups and being upset at them that he doesn't have more, even though he's being offered a fourth one. He's not paying it any mind. Which one is the one I'm picturing? The one I was picturing might actually be the Seven of Cups. But I think I was describing the Five of Cups. It doesn't matter. I'm getting distracted. I think the Four of Cups here really ties into the misconception, the magician, as far as like thinking that you have less opportunity before you and less potential in you than you actually do. So I think these are largely just saying the same thing here. There is a dog barking, and I would never get mad at a dog, and so I'm not mad at that dog. That would be rude. think these two are saying largely the same thing as far as you are ignoring the ability that you do have. And I'm not mad at that dog, and I'm not mad at that dog. Sometimes this has happened before, and I was like, I'll pause filming until the dog shuts up, and then 20 minutes later I said, I need to get this up before midnight, so we're just gonna keep going. I think that you are not accurately assessing the things you could do, and I don't mean to be invalidating of how hard it can be. I don't mean to be like it's all in your head. Circumstance matters. And it is okay to be frustrated, and it is okay to earnestly blame the situation around you for the things that it is like keeping you from being able to do. I don't mean to say that it's all in your head. I just mean that you are letting those very real and valid actual constraints put on you. You are taking those and letting them, like, in your mind be all-encompassing to the point where you are not really, like, assessing what you could do from where you're at. You have things you want to make. You have things you want to do. And people want to see those. Maybe you're so afraid you're not going to get an audience, you're not going to get a fan base, you're not going to build a community. Listen. I've said this in a couple videos recently. I went with this channel that you're watching right now. I posted next to nothing for the first 5 to 7-ish years. And then just 6 weeks ago, I started posting every day because I said, I can't do nothing. I have things I want to make. And in that time, I'm halfway to the first monetization tier on YouTube, and I'm getting comments from the same people multiple times on different videos, and I'm starting to feel that real sense of presence with people. And it's the internet, so I know it's not the same, but it's still you can feel the beginning of that feeling of community. And I was really afraid that no one was gonna watch. And just over a month, I'm already feeling that oh, people are here. So please believe that I understand and know firsthand the fear. I understand that very well, but it is real, it is possible. You have more opportunities than you are letting yourself feel. I feel like even just reading the descriptions for these three makes the last 2 cards make perfect sense. I will read them anyway, if for no other reason than ASMR, but I'm so sorry I bumped into you, my apologies. The 9 of Swords, as I said, I interpret it as being about the anxiety spiral and depression. Remember that this is the card representing what your higher self knows, that your smaller self that you are more aware of in the moment does not. So that's this card's position, the higher self. The 9 of Swords, here represented by the blushing milk cap mushroom. This is a card of anxiety caused by trauma. Blushing milkcaps grow primarily around weeping willow trees, a symbol in historic graveyards, representing grief, sadness, and pain. Almost anthropomorphically, milkcats weep white latex from their gills when injured. This card represents anxiety, insomnia, and depression. Past external traumas are keeping you up at night. Face those troubles head on by talking to someone who can help. Learn what depression might look like for you, which could be different from what society characterizes it as. That card is being what your higher self knows that your smaller self doesn't. Your smaller self knows what you've been through. You are aware. And you may even be aware that it's been traumatic and that it's been bothering you. But I think in this position, it is basically saying that, like, there's more of that reaction in the decisions that you are making than you are being fully aware of. You are not moving with you're not fully cognizant of the effect that your past has had on you. There might be some genuine PTSD in that, as far as moving from a place of fear, and your higher self looks back, watching the full and complete interplay of all of your trains of thought leading into how you move through the world. And so some of the things that maybe you think are innate, some of the decisions you make that you believe are innate to you, on some level your highest self knows that that is a trauma response. I feel like these two cards probably have a lot of overlap to them, to their meanings for you. Maybe the idea that you've been told what your options are and are not. Maybe that is tied into so that trauma. For some of you, it's definitely familial, but I think for some of you, it's really more just like at a community level. I think if you spend a little more time contemplating and actually finally addressing and thinking about some of those, you know what hurts. You know where it hurts, and you know what you are avoiding thinking about. I think that you will unlock a lot of your potential once you let yourself actually address that and react to it. And that's a really hard thing to do, and that's very scary. But you deserve to live a life where you have healed some of that. You deserve to live out your potential, and you're not going to do that very effectively while you are moving from that place of fear and that fear reaction. More of your decision making is coming from that than you are aware of right now. And so I think that's why you are I think that's why you have that misconception about your own potential. That's what I mostly see here, is just fear of potential. People talk about fear of failure a lot. You have fear of success, even though you want it. fear of success does not stop you from wanting it very badly. But it does stop you from really making those earlier steps. I feel like that moves really cleanly into the guidance card being the Nine of Cups. This is a very encouraging card. I'm going to read the description for you from the booklet. The Nine of Cups, your radiant card, energy for you to tap into to unlock your ability to radiate out that like inner light. The Nine of Cups here represented by the water club mushroom. It's on a little froggo if you have your eyes closed, or perhaps a toad. Happy to be partially submerged in slow-moving water. Water clubs exist away from the dangers facing most other fungi. Adaptation has rewarded them with transitional protection, but not total immunity. It's reminiscent of the Nine of Cups, a card of happiness and success. It means contentment, satisfaction, and wish fulfillment. Although, as I said earlier, I think of it less as wish fulfillment and more as dreams granted. Here's what it says. Appreciate this card as a sign the wishes are coming true. But celebrate with confidence, not pride. It uses the word confidence. I love that. Celebrate with confidence, not pride. Don't settle, but let your success inspire you to go even further. This is another of those times that have been happening a lot when I record tarot readings recently, where basically like a card has the meaning, especially in the position of the reading, it has like the meaning of the reading. We're doing a confidence reading here, and your radiant energy to tap into card basically just means confidence. I think you should be very encouraged. I think you should be very excited. The Nine of Cups is like, to me, one of the happiest cards in this deck. And so there's something like just tapping into happiness and into believing that you can. Effectively, I'm trying to find a nice way to put this. Effectively, this is the cards being like, believe in yourself, bitch. Sometimes they're very direct. I feel like these 5 cards all tie together very cleanly. They're all basically saying the same thing, in a sense. Perhaps this one is localizing it a little bit more, but in general, it still just ties back to basically what the Magician card here meant, which is just you have an incorrect perception in how much you are capable of. And it's clear that you want to believe that you're capable, or you would not have clicked on a tarot reading about confidence. But I know that wanting to believe that is very different from actually believing it. And so I think you probably are maybe someone who's inclined to take in this reading as like a temporary salve for your insecurities, but then not really do anything about it because you'll revert back to that place of fear. And I hope I'm not like making you feel called out or anything, but like, good God, do something cool. Like, please genuinely do something cool. Do it tomorrow. Google the first steps tomorrow. Look it up tomorrow. That skill you've been wanting to learn, and like the skill that you picture your future self having. Tonight, do it right now. Do it right now. Stop. Fuck my video. You know what I still have one more card for you, so maybe we'll wait for the last card, but like, look it up. How to do whatever. You don't have to do anything tonight, but like, just start researching how to actually do the things that you want. Don't come here just for like, just to feel better. I want you to leave here inspired, because people will want to see the things you have to make. Whatever that is, I'm really leaning into it being a creative endeavor. Maybe that's not the case for you, but I feel strongly that there is something like artistic in some way. And I think you've put off starting on that for a long time. Please don't leave here just to sleep easier tonight, although I hope you do, but please carry this with you. Please, tomorrow or tonight, look something up. Look up step number 1. Who do you call about it? How do you learn that skill? I'm serious. Do it today or tomorrow. You deserve to make cool shit. And you can. I promise you can. You stop waiting to already be an expert to start learning. Stop waiting to have proof of your success before you start trying to do something you could even succeed at. And if, when you feel comfortable to do so and safe to do so, give a little bit of thought to your past, because I don't think you're moving with full awareness of how much that has affected you. Even if you're aware that it bothers you, that doesn't mean you're always aware of when that's the thing causing you to make a decision. It's very hard to always be aware of that. And so the more you think about it and engage with it, the more you'll see it popping up in your patterns where you had thought that that was like just an innate thing in you. I'm speaking very vaguely because it could be anything. Maybe that's making it harder for you to see for yourself, but really the 2 pieces of advice for you are just believe in yourself, bitch, and then do a little introspection on that past trauma and that past hurt. You can handle both. You absolutely have what it takes to handle both. You are not as early in your journey as you feel. You are closer to success and to community than you feel. Let me finish up here for you. Put this over here. Now the final card for you from the Letha deck. Your guidance card. We are asking the deck here, what have I not thought about enough? What have I not thought about enough? able and willing, take in a deep breath. Deep lower into your belly than you usually do. And think about that higher version of yourself who is more cognizant of how your past plays into the decisions you make and the beliefs you hold about yourself. That's the one. Alright. Here we go. Your guidance card. What have I not thought about enough pertaining to confidence and self-image? What have I not thought about enough? And you got hummingbird. Let me see here. The winds beneath your wings are shifting, and if you don't pay attention, you may lose flight. Goodness, fell. Number 19. It's over here, actually. Hummingbird. Remembering that this is what you have not thought about actively enough. This is swiftness, adaptability, and pivoting. Hummingbirds are small but mighty, with wings that can beat almost 100 times per second. They can travel great distances and change direction in an instant with smoothness and grace. You too are being called to be more flexible when hummingbird enters your reading. The current path you're on isn't suiting your needs, and it's time to consider some additional options, or at the very least, a new approach. Think about what is and is not working for you, and how you can use this information to bring clarity to your question. This card can also mean your situation is evolving rapidly and you are not keeping up with these changes, which can cause you to feel overwhelmed. If you are unwilling to adapt, it may be time to consider whether or not this is the right path forward, because the world will pass you by if you hold on too tightly to outdated methods. If you are reading about another person receiving this card as a sign to speak up against someone who is too rigid in their thinking, I did just yell at you to leave this video and go do something, so kind of a little bit ahead of you, booklet. You will continue to see stagnation unless all involved are willing to be more flexible. I think that is a perfect card for you right now. Take this to mean action and change. Let yourself change. Do the thing. If you are watching this to get sleepy before bed, you can absolutely transition into sleep from here, and that is perfectly fine. If you know you're not about to fall asleep, then do the shit, do it. Do it. I'm serious, like, go. Please take this as encouragement. At the very least, if not now, then tomorrow at least. Do something towards your goals and your dreams. You can make cool shit. Please do. Please do. Somewhere in the back of your mind all day tomorrow, please picture me as glaring at you from the corner, being like, you're not Googling it yet. You're not looking up how to do something cool yet. Take the first step. I'm in your corner, I'm on your side, and also picture me as being very mad at you tomorrow if you don't. easy it is to like revert back to patterns. That Seven of Cups card. And kind of with both of these two as well, there's very much that feeling that like you have historically not been very good at really bearing in mind what your choices are before you. And you talk yourself out of them before they even begin. Screw that, move, do something tomorrow. You have what it takes. You have what it takes to start and to learn. And don't be afraid to make like mediocre art. If it is something artistic for you, let people see you be mediocre. Just start, just do it. Yeah, I think that's it. I keep wanting to just repeat the same things because I want to be as encouraging as possible for you to like go do something cool. But like, please. Really, there's so much in this reading that I relate to. And again, I know I've only just recently broken out of it. And the other day, and these are low numbers technically, but like I went from 200 subscribers, hitting the 200 subscriber milestone, to 1 week later hitting 300. And there was a moment where I got like so mad at myself. I got so mad at myself for how long the years I wasted not getting started. Because if that's what happened in 1 week, after a month of posting and that's it, like my life today would be so different if I had started the like 5 to 7 years ago when I thought about it. Like how much cool shit did I miss out on? How many cool connections with people did I not get to experience? Because I was like, well, it'll never work. And again, those are small numbers, I know, but like, it's huge to me. And again, it's just the beginning, so like, I could be where I want to be right now if I had started when I first was having the idea. So like, I relate very strongly to the things that came out in this reading for you. Just start. Just start before you believe in yourself. Start before you feel perfectly competent. Start. Do it tomorrow or else I'm gonna be mad at you. I say it with love. Group 1, that is your reading. Thank you very much. Group 1. That didn't sound too mean or anything. I just really want you to do well, and I just know how easy it is to like watch things to get encouragement and feel that temporary encouragement and then still don't do anything. So please, believe that you can. being here. Let's go ahead and get into it. I've just shuffled the cards for you, but just take a moment to breathe a little bit deeper into your belly than you usually do. Tapping into that sense of self, tapping into your inner beliefs, and also trying to tap into that sense of the higher self, the version of you who is more cognizant of everything that goes into your thought processes and patterns. Let's get started. Card number 1 is your own misconceptions about yourself. What is your misconception in your self-image? I almost, with the first group, with their 3 cards that go horizontally first, I was even thinking as I was saying it, that reminds me so much of the 8 of Swords. The 8 of Swords is a card of sort of like self-imposed bindings. It is I think of it as a reaction to times of genuine helplessness that is then extrapolated into like an innate belief in learned helplessness, in feigned, or not feigned, oh I bumped into you, sorry, not feigned helplessness in that it's fake, but like feigned in the sense that you're applying it to situations that you aren't fully helpless in. That can feel like a really invalidating card. I know it can be hard not to react emotionally to the 8 of Swords sometimes, but it very basically just means like, yes, you've been hurt, yes, it's been unfair, and also you've then ascribed those genuine feelings to applying to more parts of your life than they actually do. You are not as helpless as you feel and as you fear. I'm going to read all of the 5 of the cards before I get too much into any one of them though. Number 2, the learned card. What have you been taught about how to view yourself? What is part of how you view yourself that was taught to you rather than coming from you innately and introspectively? The Knight of Pentacles. Let me look at my little, I get the knights across the different suits confused sometimes, so I make sure. The Knight of Pentacles. Okay. I think of the Knight of Pentacles as being the card of consistency and persistence. I basically call the Knight of Pentacles the tortoise card, as opposed to, with the tortoise and the hare, this is like the slow and steady. For a shadow perspective on it, I refer to this as sort of just being about motivation, like tapping back into your why you do the things you do. What is your why? What's the drive? This being taught to you. Let me think. If I'm focusing on thinking of it as being the tortoise rather than the hare, maybe there's something of being like, I think this one's split. I think for some of you watching, the focus is more on the idea of the tortoise, and for some of you watching, the idea is more on that motivation, the why. For the tortoise, what I mean is like, I think maybe some of you have been told, wait your turn, pay your dues. I think maybe there's something about like, about being told that it's going to take a long time, and so you should focus so much on a concept of diligence rather than on, I'm not even sure, I'm wrapping my head around this one in the moment, sorry. I'm going to come back to that. If this, for those of you who more, this is about the why and your motivation, I think some of you have been handed a purpose that on some level you feel does not apply to you. I think with either case that ties straight into the Eight of Swords. If for you you're resonating more with the idea that you've been told what your purpose should be in life, that can feel like a prescription that you can't break out of. It can feel like you have to be beholden to that. And if it's more a matter of pace, if that is resonating with you more, yeah, it's hard not to feel trapped when you keep being told, wait your turn. Wait your turn, you're not ready yet. So I think there's sort of, we got a split here, a split in the group here. Let me keep reading your cards. Up next, this is what to shed. What do you need to shed away? The Four of Swords. Wow, I've maybe never pulled this card from this deck. God, that's beautiful. It's called the Snow Fungus. I don't think I've ever pulled this card in this deck. I've done so many readings with this deck. I don't think I've really looked at this one before. The Four of Swords, I'll need to double check. I think this is the card of recuperation. Yeah. Recuperation. I don't know what to think of this yet. It could be that it's tying back into specifically the people being told to wait their turn, and like you need to shed off that, like a restful period or something. I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna wait until I read this the booklet for this deck before I try to interpret that one too much. I'm not sure immediately. For now, let's move on. Book card number 4. The highest self. What does your highest version of yourself know that the smaller version of you that you're more aware of in the moment? What does that version of you not know that your highest self does know? You've got the Six of Swords. Isn't this like movement and travel? Let me think. Let's see here. Yeah. This is the card, to me at least, of moving on. I've written down that if it's more of a shadow work thing, that like shadow interpretation of this is just baggage. Oddly very similar to the card that was pulled with the first group in this position. That one was more about trauma. This one's about baggage and moving on. With both this and the Eight of Swords, I'm seeing a stagnation for you. I'm going to wait until we read them all from the booklet. For now, let me pull your 5th card. Your Radiant card. What energy you need to tap into to radiate your inner light. Ooh, the Three of Cups. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I thought it was going to be more introspective. I think this is more about tapping into like community and collaboration. I do believe. Check my little booklet. Yes, the way that I wrote it down in my little quick guide is I interpret this card as being about reune and commune. So I mean like a reunion, getting back together maybe with people you've known in the past. People you maybe haven't spoken to as much. So it's like a coming together card. Commune, it's forming community, it is. Yeah, the rest of these, the first group was pretty like introspective based. That's so interesting that it seems like the opposite of the deck you chose. The deck as being that more like outward thing actually was more introspective. And this one, that was more introspective. Energy to tap into is actually with other people and with community. That maybe, and this part isn't even in the cards, I'm just psychoanalyzing you based on the deck you chose. Maybe there's some resistance to that. Maybe there's a little bit of a hermitage happening. Maybe you like to be an introvert. Maybe mostly from a place of, I want to say fear a little bit. Thinking about the baggage card up here. I think maybe you wanted this to be more introspective of advice. But sometimes the answer really is in the way that you are with other people. Let me set this aside for now and read the descriptions from the booklet as well. Eight of Swords. There we go. The Eight of Swords, here represented by the mushroom, the columned stinkhorn. The columned stinkhorn writhes out of an underground egg sac into a smelly, alien-looking cluster of tentacles bound by the tips. Though seemingly fixed in place, this fungus has created an amazing solution to spread its spores. Like the Eight of Swords, remember to break through self-imposed blinders to appreciate the resources around you. It's restriction and victim mentality. Again, I'm thinking of the baggage card. There's, again, here like a victim mentality can sound like a victim complex, can sound like you're making it up, it can sound like you're faking it, and that's not what's being said. I think there's real baggage here, but it just means that maybe you've then taken that and applied it, as I said, to more areas of your life than it should be, and that's holding you back where it doesn't need to be. So, it says here, you are unable to take action due to the restrictions of a physical injury or mental trauma, but this outside force has trapped you in an escapable predicament. Rely on intuition rather than your thoughts to free yourself. And the keywords for the reverse description are inner guilt, invasive thoughts, and shame. Really drawn to the word shame for you, I think. Particularly pertaining to a confidence-based reading. So your misconception about yourself is pretty straightforward here. And it's similar to the first group in a lot of ways, really. It's mostly just like, yeah, both of these readings are basically just like, believe in yourself, bitch. Believe in yourself. Which is easier said than done, as always, of course. Let's read the Nine of Pentacles. That one was interesting. They're represented by the white truffle mushroom. And bearing in mind this is in the learned position, what was taught to you about how to view yourself? White truffles set records for growing the largest of their species. Truffle hunters have poisoned competitors' hunting dogs in attempts to gain an advantage in this financially cutthroat business. This card warns against such unscrupulous practices that may arise from hunts or pursuits that seek perfectionism and success at any cost. This represents hard worker, competent, and patience. You are able to execute tremendously intricate plans via your commendable work ethic. You have the competence and resources to reach your goal. Patience, attention to detail, and diligence will fast-track a successful outcome. I think that description of this, put in my head maybe a third interpretation, or maybe one that applies to both of the earlier two I was talking about. But I'm seeing this maybe this was being taught to you as being both a good and a bad thing, particularly as pertaining to a parent, and maybe more specifically a father figure. As being taught like a certain sense of like self-discipline that like serves you very well in a lot of ways, but is also kind of just relentless and can lead to burnout if it is not tempered with rest. Especially this leans towards the idea of like the tortoise and being told to wait your turn and be patient. Also being told to like just put in the work. You're still a beginner, you're still the newbie. You have to like, especially when you were a kid, being told that you have to earn kind of just like your own freedom in a way. I'm seeing a sense that like being taught diligence is a good thing, but also like if it was taught to you in such a way of like keep your head down, don't stop grinding, when you fall down you're not allowed to cry, get back up, do it, get it done. And that is a mentality that can lead to a lot of people to success, but it unfortunately often leads people to a success that comes without happiness. And so, once again, I feel like this is probably tied very closely to the higher self card. That happens a lot. They are very much in line. The first group, there was a lot of overlap here, there, and I think I see even more of it here for you. The idea of that, like being told, wait your turn, do the work, keep your head down, that interpretation feels more clear to me here. What's a little more elusive is for those of you where the idea is being told your purpose. I think that one's maybe a little bit more personal and individual, and I simply don't know enough about your situation to be able to introspect accurately about it right now. But I think you know if that feels like that's you. If you've been told. Really, if you've been told just who you're supposed to be. Especially as far as like career, I think I'm seeing a lot of that. That can be a very tantalizing thing to believe sometimes. Because to some degree, or even if it feels very uncomfortable, and even if you want to push up against it, it does kind of also feel like somebody believing in you, doesn't it? Even if you don't want to do or be the thing they're believing you can and should do, it's still, if you want to be a painter and your parents are like, no, be a doctor, it's still kind of nice to think that somebody thinks you could get into med school, isn't it? Even if you don't want to. And there's a heavy temptation in that to lean in. Now I'm going to go ahead and read the Four of Swords. Wow, it opens straight to it. It opens straight to it, okay. The Four of Swords, remembering that this is the energy you're being told to shed off. It's represented here by the snow fungus. God, I love this card. That's beautiful. They look like dandelions. The snow fungus is a beautiful, translucent mushroom that can grow quite large, but is deceptively fragile. That card is on my end. You're okay. Yeah, that's okay. They can grow quite large, but they are deceptively fragile, and that card keeps being on my end. The first reading had to deal with a dog barking, and now you've got, I guess, a solo drag racer. They're gone now. We're okay. And we live right by a road, so you're gonna hear cars sometimes, but that's okay. They grow quite large, but they are deceptively fragile. The energy used to create a monument must be strong and steady to ensure a structure with the same qualities. Rest efficiently. Rest, meditation, and recuperation. You're exhausted as a result of finishing an initial goal. Now rest, meditate, and mentally recuperate your worn-out body and mind. A long and blustery path winds ahead of you. Take today off from tough decisions. This card makes a lot more sense to me once I thought of the Knight of Pentacles as being that, like, keep your head down, keep doing the work. Being told to, like, be diligent no matter what. Never take a day off. Or are you somebody whose parents told you, like, you're not allowed to take a sick day? I think that applies to some, but not all of you. Like I said, this card definitely has a split in it. But this card makes a lot more sense, especially for those people. It's not just okay to rest. Rest is a human need. So, I think you're being told to shed an unhealthy view of the idea of when you are allowed to rest, when you are allowed to maybe heal. I mentioned meditation both in the booklet and in my notes about it. Recuperation is, I think I'm going to read the next one now because recuperation implies something you are kind of healing from, not just straightforward rest. So, and this is very much that card of baggage. So, let's see what it says on the Six of Swords here so we can get a better sense of what it is you need to recuperate from. But just very generally, I do think it is saying to slough off, you know, what was taught to you about, like, when you can rest. And if it's okay to ever rest. Let's look here. What does your higher self know that your smaller self doesn't? And you got the Six of Swords. This This is the aquatic gill mushroom. Mushrooms are commonly seen dotting a forest floor, but the aquatic gill mushroom species found a different habitat, submerged beneath the surface of cold streams in Oregon. The Six of Swords encourages that kind of exploration. Distance, explore, and release. Allow yourself deliberate space away from persistent conflicts. To guarantee productivity, explore new environments. The initial sadness of moving away from the familiar is replaced with the satisfaction of achieving mental clarity. I'm actually going to read the reverse description too, because I mentioned baggage in my notes. I'm feeling drawn to that for the higher self right now. It means unfinished business, resistance to change, and feeling trapped. And this is very much about feeling trapped over here with the Eight of Swords, so that's very tied into your reading here. Free your mind from dramatic entanglements and lighten your load by releasing any baggage that could be adding to delays. Adding to delays because it also ties into the group with the Knight of Pentacles about pace. Resisting change only strengthens the cage bars around a closed mind. Yeah, the Six of Swords is really tying into the Eight of Swords for you today. Your higher self knows that I think maybe not your whole living situation, although I think maybe if you're still living with your parents, I think maybe your whole living situation. But even if it's not all of that, there is at least part of your situation right now that your higher self knows it is time to leave. You're not going to get to sit down and unpack your baggage until you're out of that environment. Maybe it's a workplace, maybe it's a friend group or an online community, or again, maybe it's moving out from the place where you currently live if there is a energy there that is not helping you grow as a person in the way you know you need to and want to. And your highest self has known that for a while, but your smaller self probably is tied up in the self-imposed bindings and feeling like it's not an option for you. And again, I don't mean to be invalidating. For a lot of you, there probably are legitimate reasons why leaving that situation would be not just hard, but feel impossible. At the very least, there are ways that you can, if not leave it completely yet, you can at least recuperate from the constant struggle and conflict. You don't need to just bang your head against a wall forever. You can find ways to take time for yourself the way that you need. Now let's look at your Radiant card. The energy to tap into in order to learn how to radiate that inner light. The Three of Cups. This is the stalked scarlet cup. These mushrooms bloom en masse in spring amongst watercress and delicious wild leeks. They are a celebration of new life, awakening from patient and chilled dormancy. a perfect match for the Three of Cups. Raising their cups skyward, they twist gracefully around each other as if dancing. This means reunions, celebration, and indulgence. Immediately, the idea of indulgence is tied to the Four of Swords. I think maybe the form of rest you need isn't just like take a nap. It might not even be about like meditation and introspection. I think it's about resting and like active rest, by which I mean like doing something fun rather than just doing nothing. There is a time for both. But I'm seeing a lot of like tapping into like just pockets of joy. It says here, reunions and celebrations abound. Drink it in. Embrace these good times and start more collaborations. Let in the healing that comes from socializing so you can more deeply connect with your loved ones. So yeah, just as I said, people talk about like introverts versus extroverts, and that extroverts like recuperate around people and introverts recuperate alone. I don't think people are as clean cut as that. Everyone can heal from either at different times and in different situations. You just maybe haven't found the situation where interaction recharged you at all. But it is possible, even though that's not, you'd still need alone time sometimes. But I think you're maybe being called to learn how to find the people who energize you to be around. And that is always findable. That's always findable. The Three of Cups. This is especially the advice to start more collaborations feels very pertinent to you. It is so easy to want to keep going it alone and just put your head down and figure out how to get out of it yourself and just like let people help and let people like comfort you. Let people support you. Believe people when they say that they're rooting for you. And reach out. By the end of the week, I want you to like have reached out to somebody either online or maybe texting an old friend you haven't talked about in a while, you haven't talked to in a while. If you have anyone you could reach out to like that. But reach out to somebody. It could be a stranger even online who's in a similar field to things that you want to be doing or making. Reach out and just be like, hey, I love what you're doing. I'm a fan. Just connect. Seek out connections. I know you want to go it alone. I know you want to do it yourself. You are not going to gain that confidence if you don't let yourself feel seen by others and not just like an audience of like, looking at a crowd is very different from like showing something to an individual who you know. The latter can actually be more intimidating. I think that's the case for you. Push through that discomfort and you will be rewarded so beautifully. I'm going to read now your sixth and final card. Your guidance card. And what we are asking the deck now have I not thought about deeply enough? What have I not thought about enough? Tapping back into that sense of the higher self, who sees through all versions of you sees through all of it into the real reasonings behind your beliefs and your actions. That's the one. This is the one. He sits over here. No, I'll sit here. So this is your guidance card. What have I not thought about enough yet? And you got, oh, that's so funny. It's the one that's on like the cover for the deck. It's beautiful. You got incense. I dropped it. I was looking at my viewfinder and I dropped it. Incense 28. Allow the smoke to reveal the truth, clearing the haze while lifting the fog. That is so beautiful. Let me look up in the booklet what that means exactly. Incense 28. Incense. What have I not thought about enough yet? It says clearing blocks, truth, and aha moments. What's funny is like the way that it's describing those things, those are like clearing blocks and truth and those moments of realization. I associate that with the swords suit, which your reading had a lot to say for the swords. So it's a very sword heavy, very like mental reading. The sacred smoke of incense can be seen as a highway to the divine, immediately clearing out negativity while carrying your hopes and intentions to the heavens. Frankincense resin in particular corresponds with spiritual opening and creating a pathway to successful ventures. Receiving this card represents an aha moment when the fog has lifted and suddenly everything makes sense. You are now able to look back and see where all of the challenges, changes, and choices have brought you to. If you've had integrity in your journey through life, then you have nothing to fear. However, if your path has been dotted with cruelty or moral depravity, you may be entering into what might be termed bad luck. In this way, this card also represents karma or balancing the scales. And it can also mean it's time to put all of your cards on the table. Truth will free you and any others involved, lifting any burdens that you may have been carrying and allowing you to begin the process of healing and moving forward. They give little recipe for altar incense as well. Frankincense, myrrh, and copal. I'm not going to read those right now. Wow, that was an interesting card for this. I keep using the word interesting during readings, and that basically It's just the word I use. My brain is buffering. It's not what I expected it to be. I thought it was going to tie more into that idea of connecting with others. But I actually see it as calling back mostly to the Eight of Swords and Six of Swords. I should have known that, I guess, when I mentioned that it tied so closely to the sword energy. But I think a lot of it is like lifting that view of yourself as being someone who, like, just someone who can't. Someone incapable. Someone undeserving. If that is a fear or really just a belief about yourself that you have, you need to tap into something that can clear that energy away. And I think the place where these two are working together for you is that the form of that thing that will lift the fog will come from connection with other people and hearing their stories and their reactions to you, and like letting that change the way you've been perceiving yourself. I don't think that's something I can do for you through the screen right now. I think you need to find and build community. And that's very achievable. I know it can sound scary. For those of you who are maybe a little bit more isolated, that can feel impossible, but I promise it's not. And it can be small, and it can even be short term. Sometimes friendships are short term. It can even be wholly online if need be. But you can learn from it. And just lift away that inner frog. Lift away maybe, I think, a lot of the things you've been taught. Lift away bad lessons. And come back to that like recuperation through community and finding truth through community. The previous group, I don't know if you watched, some people watch all the readings. I basically very lovingly yelled at them to go like do something now. For you, it is the opposite. For you, I think you should slip into rest. If it's nighttime, don't click on another video right now. Or if you do, make sure it's another ASMR video, and maybe something you're less meant to pay attention to than this. Let yourself rest and relax right now. Take all responsibilities off of your plate for the rest of the night. And let yourself rest freely. Lengthen your exhale. And prioritize in the next week or two, just sending out little worms on hooks. Just a little hey, it's been a while. I love this thing you made. Just send something out there in the world to people, just to allow little pockets of connection, even if they don't blossom into full BFFs, Let yourself feel connection with people. Breathe into it. With this incense card talking about lifting fog, I want you to rest easy with the knowledge that that confidence and that light in you is already there. You don't need to add anything or build anything. You just need to lift away the parts that are clouding it. And I promise that that is real and possible, and it should feel good to do. Don't forget about the call to celebrate. It's not going to feel like work the whole time. Rest easy knowing that you have a light inside you. And let it be seen by others. I think I said something similar to the first group, but don't wait for confidence to do shit. Don't wait for confidence to reach out and connect with people. Don't wait to have confidence to start engaging with the things that can build confidence. Connecting with other people will build that for you. Stop waiting to have it first. You've got this. It's okay. It's okay to be seen. It is safe for you to be seen. The haze will lift with time. Thank you so much for having been here with me. If you would like, you are now free to drift off into dreams, or you can remain just as you are, whatever you'd like. And as always, you are free to stay here with me for as long as you need.